sir.
To support the person, the very person responsible for enforcing the law.
That's right.
In the city of St. Louis.
Sir. Yes, sir. Ma'am.
Senator Carla May got the sisters back.
That's right. Tell us about it, sister.
No justice, no peace.
Amen.
So basically, it's a simple, I think, ask of people. Historically, in the city and in the state, African Americans have been not treated fairly when it came to the criminal justice system.
Amen. All right. I can testify.
We are 12% of the population, but we make up more than 85% of the penal institution in the state of Missouri.
That's right. That ain't right.
This is the very first time that an African American has been elected to the office of prosecutor in the St. Louis city.
Amen. That's right. Amen.
So what we're asking is that the same latitude and tolerance that was given other prosecutors be also afforded to Kim.
That's right.
She is an African American female who has to contemplate and deal with all of the historical precedents that has been set before her.
That's right.
So she has to be very intentional in the cases and the information that's put before her.
Right.
And she has to make a decision based on that information that's given to her. But we cannot ignore history.
All right.
We're moving beyond history, but we cannot ignore history. And she cannot ignore history. The relationship between people of color, African Americans, and Caucasians in the history of the city and this state has always been on the forefront. So therefore, when it comes to deciding cases to prosecute, I'm asking everybody that is listening to afford her the same respect that has been afforded every other prosecutor.
Right. Amen.
And what I'm saying is not to attack character. Someone told me she's not qualified. I think that's disrespectful. She was elected to the office. She's qualified to hold the office. She has degrees and everything that puts her in a position to hold the office.
That's right.
So what we're saying is that we're asking you to afford her the same respect that was given to other prosecutors when they made mistakes as well. Along the way. And I think she is being very intentional and careful in looking at cases that are put before her. Because what others didn't have to consider, she has to consider. She has to consider first that she's an African American woman. She has to consider secondly that African Americans have not always been treated fairly in the judicial system. These are things that she has to weigh on her desk before she makes a decision to put a case to the jury.
And she want to be
So I think that we owe her some latitude and respect. And I think that this rally is asking for that. The same latitude and respect that African Americans have always given other elected officials in that position, we owe her no different. And I think she's doing a phenomenal job. And we must understand that our view of circumstances and situations is going to be viewed through a cultural lens. What we have to do is try to understand each other's cultures and understand the dynamics that are afforded to each of those cultures.
Tell them.
And while we're doing that, we must give her, like I said, the same respect and latitude that we have afforded other prosecutors.
Right.
And respect her position and allow her to do it without the criticism and the attacks that has been going forth so far in the media and the threats.
How we doing there, Attorney Christmas?
We're doing outstanding.
Seems like we're down here today supporting who?
We're supporting Kim Gardner, prosecutor, circuit attorney for the city of St. Louis.
Wow.
We got Alderwoman Marlene Davis here also.
Wow.
Yeah. What we need to understand is it's the people's choice. And when all of us politicians get in the middle, it's wrong. Let the people make their own decisions. They put her in.
And the people have spoken.
Yeah.
And the people spoke accurately, in my opinion, because we needed a change in the criminal justice system here. We needed to interject a different perspective and make sure that we had fairness in sentencing and charging. And it's extremely important to us, especially as African Americans, because we know the impact that that system has on our people. It's part of the reason why we're suffering now, is because of the number of people that we have incarcerated, and the broken families, and the children without mothers and fathers, and the lack of education. And so this is something that we have to stay on top of. It's something that we can't take our eye off, and it's something that we have to be vigilant about.
It's not going to agree on everything. If that was the case, the world would be perfect. So what we have to do is to make sure people understand process and procedure, and understand that the people put you in, and it's only the people that can take you out. That includes me.
I like that.
Process and procedure. And it's only the people that can take her out.
That's right.
It's only the people that we're going to allow to take her out.
That includes any elected official, including me.
Exactly.
That is a serious, and we, as a person for the people, we appreciate the work that you folks do, and we just keep doing what you're doing. We really appreciate it, Alderman and Attorney Chris. Is there anything you maybe want to tell the folks?
Well, what I really wanted to know is that this is all a result of Kim having the courage to go after Governor Greitens.
From the, oh my goodness, from the governor? Are you serious? Oh my goodness.
It's coming from his defense team. You know, it was, remember,
to the 60 police officers to...
We're investigating right now. We're investigating
house.
the threats that were made to Kim by the defense team. And truth be told, they should have never got out the building. She should have had the sheriff stop them before they got out the building. They should have never got out the building. Because you can't threaten the prosecutor.
No.
I could have never went in and told Jennifer Joyce or D. Joyce Hayes or George Peach what they couldn't do. If you don't do something, I'm going to destroy you. I'd have been locked up before I got back to my office.
So you think that might be a little bit of racism right there?
Not a little bit. It's a lot of racism. That's the problem. We haven't stopped fighting the Civil War here. What I just said. How can you have a crime summit and not invite the two chief law enforcement officers in St. Louis City? They're the top cops.
They're the top cops.
And that would have never happened. Even Jennifer Joyce is quoted in the Post-Dispatch as saying that she sat in many crime summits and she can't understand why the prosecutors were not invited. Now you know when her and I on the same page. It's unfortunate that we still have this going on in this city, because all it does is just rip the Band-Aid off of what we already know is a deep wound, and we just keep cutting into it, and we can't get past it. And because we can't get past it, we can't grow as a city.
I'll tell you, we're working to get, this is a tough process, but I see what's behind you right there, and I see you folks out here fighting every day, and I'm out here, and I'm definitely working to get into schools and educate kids. We're making a difference.
Yeah, and the education is the key. When you look at the situation that's happening now, when I open up my crime drawer, I got a criminal defense drawer, 95% of people in my criminal drawer have not finished high school. And if they did, they barely finished high school. You know, education is the key. The more education you have, the less likely you're going to get involved in any of this. And when we look at these children that are being killed, these children are being killed because they're in the crossfire of these adults. That's the problem. The kids aren't intentional targets. but they are with adults who are engaged in criminal behavior or maybe engaged in other activities. And because they're the targets, the kids are getting killed. And college is not for everybody. I'm not saying everybody has to go to college, but if you're not going to go to college, then you need to learn a trade. You have to learn how to do something. You can go into the military, but you have to do something. You can't just run around here and be uneducated and unable to take care of yourself. And that's what's causing this. When I look at my criminal drawer, I don't have people in my criminal drawer that are going to work every day. I don't have people in my criminal drawer that have a trade. I don't have people in my criminal drawer that's going to college. It's all the same. They all are in there because they did not get a complete education. And that's they didn't even finish high school. They didn't even finish high school. And to the brothers out there, everybody in my criminal drawer is looking for their daddy. Now I'm not saying all the women walking on water, but they all looking for their daddy. And so the brothers got to step up, and we got to father more than just our biological children. You know, we got to reach out to all of these kids. You know, it's what we got to do, because it's a shortage. It's a real shortage. You know, if you can sit in the barbershop and you can tell me what the stats are in the NFL, you can tell me what's going on in Major League Baseball, you can tell me what's going on in the NBA, and you ought to be able to tell me what's happening at your child's school.
Thank you.
Bottom line.
Thank you.
Bottom line.
And you need to be there.
Bottom line, you need to be there. You need to be there. You can be there for that game, you need to be there for that classroom.
We can't even move forward. They got us in 4 or 5 different sectors. They got our police, they all mad at each other and everything, and nobody's handling anything properly. And that's what I'm angry about.
And nobody wants to come to St. Louis. I traveled around, I was in Dallas 2 weeks ago. They think St. Louis is savage. Even the people from St. Louis and Dallas are scared to come to St. Louis because of the reputation we have, which hurts us with business. Nobody wants to bring their company here. Nobody wants to come and work here because they see the environment here. They're afraid. And they shouldn't be afraid like that. It's tearing our city up. And we got to start when they're young.
We got to start when they're young.
You can't wait till they're 18. You got to start at preschool, training our kids up.
Has a coding program.
That's what's so important. You got to start early. You got to start early because they're looking at prison space by the time they get to 3rd and 4th grade. Because the thought is that if you can't read and comprehend by the 3rd and 4th grade, you're going to continue to get left behind, which means that you're going to be a problem for society and we're going to need prison space for you. So we got to get on top of it early.
But let's not forget, she is not being persecuted just because she's black. That's true. She's being persecuted because she's doing her job. We need to be very clear about what's going on out here. She's being persecuted because she has ethics. She's being persecuted because she has standards. She's being persecuted because she's standing up against the police. She's being persecuted because she's challenging the status quo. So let's not leave here simply thinking that the only reason that she's being persecuted is just because she's black. Now, that is on the list. Kim Gardner is letting them know that every black defendant that comes before the justice system doesn't have to go to jail. Every black defendant that comes before the justice system doesn't have to go to prison. Some of them can go back home. Some of them can go back to work. Some of them can go back to their families. That is what she's saying. What Kim is saying is that we don't have to continue to be burdened by a plantation mentality. Folk have been using the criminal justice system to keep us on the plantation. Kim Gardner is saying no more. No more. Kim is saying she's not going to allow the criminal justice system to be a revolving door for black folk. That's why Kim Gardner is being persecuted. She has the courage to stand up. She has the courage to speak out. That's why she's being persecuted. She is doing her job, and I would venture to say, if it were a white progressive prosecutor who is trying to make sure that there is fairness and justice, they would nudge them a little bit, but not the way Kim is getting pushed.
Right.
We're talking about progressive criminal justice reform, something that St. Louis has never seen. And that's why she's getting persecuted. That's why we need to stand for Kim Gardner. Hands off Kim. Hands off Kim.
First of all, let me say on behalf of the Community Justice Coalition, we want to thank everybody that's out here.
Amen.
Secondly, let me just say this, just very directly, and I appreciate the remarks from our State Senator Carla May. What we're dealing with right here in St. Louis is just straight up racism. And this racism is reflective not just here in this city, but across America, when we have seized a most critical position, such as a circuit attorney or a prosecuting attorney, one of the most important positions that impact people. And in that we've been fighting for justice so long as a community, it is no way that we don't allow outside forces to try to snatch from the people the will of the people, and that was the election of Kim Gardner. Am I right? Good. So to that end, Kim Gardner represents justice.
That's right.
Which has been long denied in our society here in St. Louis, and like I said, across America.
And representing the final call, crossing the street, handling business. How we doing today, sir?
We doing real good.
Man, it's a blessing.
We stand on top of it.
Stand on top. Boy, I see them articles in the final call. We love them.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Please tell everybody at the final call we love them. And we always appreciate it.
It was about the reform conversation of how we address true violent crime. We have to be proactive as not just reactive. And what I'm saying is we need to put just as much resources in prosecuting and crime fighting as giving people the help they need to stay out of the system, and that's what I'm about.
That's a big tip. And you were saying before, from Baltimore to Minnesota to all these different areas, you guys are helping, you guys are sharing information all over the country.
Yeah, I mean, I'm one of the reform-minded prosecutors, so I do work well with Boston DA, Miss Rachel Rollins. She just took office, Wesley Bell's in the county. Now we have Kim Fox in Illinois that we're reform-minded, Marilyn Mosby in Baltimore. We have Aramis Ayala in Florida, Orlando, making changes to make our city safer, but not sacrificing public safety. We have, a DA in Washington, California. We are around the country and we're growing, but what is continue to perpetuate misinformation is the status quo holding on to the tough on crime rhetoric. Reform-minded prosecutors are smart on crime, not just tough on crime, because we see the effects of mass incarceration and how devastating it has been to our communities, how we've over-policed and over-prosecuted, and that has not made us safer.
And you previously today, Gerald Christmas is all about a skill. We have to get these folks a skill so they can make a living. Like you said, well, Gerald Christmas said the biggest people who are convicted are people who are uneducated.
I mean, we have to, be proactive by going into these schools and fixing the school-to-prison pipeline, which we know is a direct feeder to any system, and that's why we're in these schools earlier, to give young people the support and the help they need to address the lack of resources that has been in our community.
You're the best. We appreciate it, Kim.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
It is fantastic for one of our elected officials, Circuit Attorney Kim Gardner, to be so transparent. It seems like cutting-edge information all around the country she is using to actually help save our community. And a lot of the footage we weren't able to get. We've been running around all day. We were actually downtown. You're gonna get a little footage of that. Of course, this is Brian K. Young, independent filmmaker. And actually, folks, I'm gonna start telling you a lot of secrets. I've been doing this for a good bit of time, and actually, Kim Gardner, she was a state rep before this. Now she's circuit attorney. Of course, she was a lawyer. We went to high school together. She graduated 1 year before me. She was cross-country champion, state champion. Now she's championing justice. Really she is. She said a lot of the people who are getting into crime are 12 and 13 now. 12 and 13, the main crime drivers, grown men like my age are trying to recruit these type of young people into criminal behavior, and we have to find it out. The little kids, they're not, they want something to do. They want a candy bar, they want some shoes, they want to impress a girl, The beautiful thing, we have to work together to give the prosecutor the information about people who are crime drivers, a house that is being used for illegal activity. The police need to know about it. This is real. But listen, learn, get involved, just get involved.